Welcome back to the Bill and Doug Show. We're talking about Ohio State special teams because we just wanted to have you snap your neck going, what? They said they're what? They're doing a show? We're going to look at all the position groups, Bill, Doug Lamarice and Bill Landis. We're going to do 10 position groups between now and Ohio State's first playoff game. And we're going to give a 1 to 100 rating for each group. We asked our Substack subscribers for their rating. We have averaged that. You're going to give a rating. I'm going to give a rating. We're going to go through all 10 position groups. You guys know the other 9, offense and defense, but we are going to do special teams. And we're going to start with that because we are sensationalistic and we're trying to get attention.
Yeah, and also simultaneously like the most frustrating one to talk about, and also maybe the least interesting one to talk about because it is special teams. So,
and the most important.
Yeah, well, like, yes, I know what you're getting at. Yes, but I also almost like separate the conversations. Like, who is your field goal kicker and how good are you on special teams? I think are two very different conversations. But anyway, we can get into it.
But if we were going to do Family Feud, name a position that has lost Ohio State a playoff semifinal, a Michigan game, and a Big Ten championship game all in the last 4 years. Buzz. It doesn't mean you couldn't buzz in on some other positions, but you'd have to think a little harder. But field goal kicker would be the number one answer.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
And listen, like I'm a little, there's a million plays that happen in a game. It shouldn't come down to that, whatever. But it did, and they missed it. Like, so, I think sometimes we can go too far with like, hey, there's all these things. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. But then also it came down to a really important kick. And Ohio State's missed 4 important kicks in the 22, 24, and 25 seasons in 3 of their biggest games that directly contributed to losing. So I don't know what to tell you.
And only one of them was a bomb. Like the other ones we're talking about were like should be makeable for most college kickers. Yeah.
What did you just say? Should be makeable for most college kickers? Mm-hmm. That's my intro music. Let's go to the stats of Doug looking up. Power 4 kickers this year. 68 teams. What are those teams on field goals of between 20 and 29 yards, Bill Landis? This is the field goal that was missed against Indiana. It was 27 yards, I believe. What do you believe is the make percentage on field goals in the 20s, Power 4 teams in the 2025 college football season, according to what I added up on, where did I add it up? PFF, CFB stats? I added it up at a real place.
Okay. I would say 84%.
Look at you, kind-hearted soul. You sucker. My God. Are you going to sit here and just give everybody a big warm teddy bear hug? Or are you going to talk ball? 84%. 94%.
College kickers. It's college kickers, man.
94%. And I think 55 of the teams made every single one. So we're talking like, 13, 14, whatever his teams that even missed any of them. Mm-hmm. By the calculation, the thing I messed up, field goals in the 20s, 332 for 354 on field goals in the 20s. And so that is what Ryan Day referred to it as basically a chip shot. That's why they called on it. They probably should have gone for it. Shouldn't have never been in that situation. But then once you're in the situation, you got to make the kick. Do you know the last time Ohio State missed a 20-yard field goal? A field goal in the 20s previous to its last game. When was the one before that?
I don't know. Like,
how would you know this?
2016.
2020, Blake Haubeil against Penn State, and it's because he was hurt. He was hurt in the pregame, and they were like, let's try a 20-yard field goal anyway, and his groin exploded. When he kicked it, he was like, we're not doing that anymore.
Oh, yeah, and they put Dom DeMarco in. Yeah, I remember
yes.
That. Yeah.
So the last time a healthy Ohio State kicker missed a field goal in the 20s, people can look that up on their own. If you want to ruin your holidays, feel free. I got as far back as I could go, and I was like, I'm stopping there.
Sorry,
but
I got
the point is,
that was Dominic Damasio, not DeMarco.
Come on.
My mistake.
Would you have a little more respect for specialists here? So anyway, not great. Can I now offer 2 excuses for the Ohio State kicking game? One is one that we've talked about before. So one is this. In the NFL, kickers have it and lose it all the time. The Browns, I know, for instance, had like the thing a couple years ago where they got Dustin Hopkins on waivers from the Chargers right before the season started, and then he was awesome for them that year, and then they brought him back the next year and he stunk and he got cut. So like guys lose it. Kickers are kind of for no reason, good and then bad, year to year, month to month, week to week sometimes. And in the NFL, when your kicker has like 3 bad weeks in a row, you cut him. And then there is another professional kicker who's home mowing his lawn, and you call that guy up, and that guy says, wait, I got to get in shape. And then he says, I ran around the block, I'm in shape, I'll be there and kick on Sunday, and you're good to go. And you can't do that in college. So I do think it is an interesting, and I would, I think somebody can do this for the Sloan Conference or whatever. You can do a statistical thing of like kickers who lose it. And in the NFL, they lose it and they fix it. And they don't fix it by giving the guy a pep talk or taking him out to Chili's and getting him the free chips and salsa and saying like, how are you feeling right now? They cut him. And in college, you can't. And that is quite a difference because kickers losing it is actually kind of expected.
Yeah, and the other thing, well, I guess maybe it's changing. I don't know this. I would say it more as an assumption than fact. You're usually not carrying more than one like kicker, more than one scholarship kicker, more than one kicker that you think can actually do something for you. Although Ohio State is.
So that's one. 2 is I always think, man, you're a great football program. Why don't you have a great kicker? You're great at everything else. Is there actually maybe contradictory things here that if you're great, especially on offense, kickers don't want to come play for you because they don't get to do stuff. And you'd rather go kick or punt for a mediocre team who uses the kicker and the punter rather than a great team who's like, hey, you want to kick 9 field goal attempts this year? And we've discussed that. Do you think that's real?
I do think that's real. There was a guy who was in the portal. It was from Miami, Ohio, who was the Lou Groza Award winner that Ohio State was recruiting, and he ended up not coming to Ohio State. I don't know. I think he went to Alabama, so it wasn't like he went to Iowa.
Went to Alabama. Kind of like lost the job.
Yeah, he actually wasn't very good. Also, like the Dominic Zavada from Michigan, right, was like automatic last year and like kind of stunk this year. Like to your point, like guys do tend to lose it quite a bit. Yeah, I think it's probably true of kicker and punter. At a place like Ohio State, it's just like you're not out there a bunch. I think Ohio State's only punted 24 times this year, or maybe 25 times and 24 for Joe McGuire. So, yeah, like if you're really good, it's kind of a weird thing, but you probably do want to go to a place where you're going to get some action, which might mean that your team's not very good, or at least your offense isn't very good.
And people long for the days of Mike Nugent. When we play the game in our chat over at Substack of if you could pick one Buckeye right now to add to this team, and I say Orlando Pace, and people say, nope, Mike Nugent. That might not be wrong, but also remember what Ohio State football was when Mike Nugent was here? It was like Iowa East. They were lining up for 53-yard field goals to win games on the regular. That was kind of what they did. So it was like, hey, do you have a great kicker? It's like, you better have a great kicker. Your whole program depends on it. Mike Nugent's like, yes, let me be your savior. And now that's not what this program is. It's just the identity changed a little bit. So it actually makes sense that Jim Tressel had like the best kicker that Ohio State ever saw, and that this era, it's kind of been a little, to paraphrase, kick or miss.
I'm looking at the finalists for the Groza this year. Okay. So they are Aiden Burr from Georgia Tech, who has kicked 28 field goals this year. Kensei, how do you say his last name? Matsuzawa from Hawaii.
Oh, the Hawaii guy from Ohio.
Yeah, he learned how to kick in Ohio, who's kicked 26 field goals this year. And then the other is Tate Sandell from Oklahoma, whose offense stinks. He's kicked 24 field goals this year. And how many has Jaden Fielding kicked?
19.
19?
Which actually is kind of middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Actually. So let me just look at this guy real quick. The guy, the Hawaii kicker, came from Ohio. So does he have eligibility? Can't tell.
I'm looking.
Looks like
I think
no.
he does, yeah.
Because he played 2 years at lower level. This is his second year Hawaii. I'm just trying to Graduated high school in 2017. I think he's out.
Yeah, I think he might be out. Yeah, unfortunately.
So we can't start if the Hawaii kicker from Japan is not on the Ohio State roster next year. It's malpractice and everybody should be fired. Like they've got to go get this guy who went to small college.
Learned how to kick at Hocking College in Nelsonville, Ohio. Bring
it on down to Nelsonville. Hocking College is lovely there in Hocking Hills. You go to Hocking Hills and hike there at the Old Man's Cave. Go check out the Old Man's Cave. Old Man comes out and haunts you when you walk by the cave. So you brought up a thing that's also a thing I want to talk about. So I'm just trying to create, and it's also like as we rate this, right? It makes sense that every other position, as Ryan Day says, when you're a position coach and when you're a position coach, especially at Ohio State, your goal must be to have that position become blank you, that position you. And I don't know that anybody's thinking that like, hey, Ohio State better be punter you or everybody's in trouble. That it actually makes sense. Ohio State, the design of the program is kind of set up for their worst position group to be special teams, especially when it comes to the specialists. Now, if we talk about kick coverage, and we will talk about kick coverage briefly, that's different. But I think people have Mike Nugent and Cam Johnston as a punter in their head when we talk about this stuff. And actually, I think perhaps they're actually the exceptions to the rule and not what should be the standard. And so then as we're going through and it's like, man, this kicker is not the Arvell Reese of kickers. I will tell you that right now. He is not the Carnell Tate of kickers. He is not the Julian Sayin of kickers. He's not the Caleb Downs of kickers. He's not the Austin Sareveld of kickers. He's not the Kenyatta Jackson or Caden Curry or Caden McDonald of kickers. It's like, yeah, I know, because it's kind of shouldn't be. But then when you're setting that Ohio State standard, and as we go through, we're going to go 1 to 100 in every position group. Ohio State honestly is in a position to shoot for 100 in the other 9 position groups. They're not going to get there on everyone, but like you wouldn't say to Ohio State, well, you can't be 100 offensive line. That's ridiculous. Like, yeah, you can. You can't be 100 at linebacker. It's like, yeah, you can. But on special teams, I actually think they're not set up to be 100.
I think at the kicking position specifically, yes. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to play another game? Another kicking game. I went through the 10 teams that are... The 10 teams in the playoff, like the power conference teams, not JMU and Tulane. No offense to them, but that's not what we're talking about here. So how many of them have kickers right now who they brought in as transfers? And the ones that I care about as transfers is you proved it somewhere else that you can do it. So we said to ourselves, rather than holistically developing a kicker from within in the modern NIL and portal era, we will go steal a guy that somebody else developed because we can. And that's how we solve our special teams problems, because we have a bunch of money to throw around, and I'm sorry that we're taking advantage of the system. Of the 10, how many have that?
Well, I know Oklahoma's one because Tate Sandell is from UTSA. 3.
Like 4.5.
Okay.
So let me run through it very quickly. Texas Tech got the Buffalo kicker, who was second team All-MAC last year, but then they put him in competition with a guy, and he was the kicker at the beginning of the year and then kind of lost his job. And now he's actually already in the portal again. But anyway, it's like they tried. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it didn't exactly work, but they went out and got a group of 6 kicker. Okay, Texas Tech. So like I don't know how to count that. Oregon's kicker is from Oregon State, Austin Sappington. Is it Atticus Sappington?
Atticus Sappington.
Atticus Sappington. Man, that is hard for me not to say that in Stetson Bennett voice. Is he Atticus Sappington? He came from Oregon State 2 years ago, but I still count because he was a good kicker at Oregon State, and Oregon was like, yeah, come over here. Right? You know, like everyone's heard the famous legend about Chris Berman, right? Chris Berman they named a blog after this like 20 years ago. There was a legendary story that somebody, a gentleman was at a bar talking to an attractive woman in a leather outfit. And the guy was like, oh, this is going very well. I'm making inroads with this attractive woman. And at some point, Chris Berman walked over and said, "You're with me, leather," and walked out with her.
Oh, wow.
And then there was a blog called "You're with Me, Leather." So that's what portal kicking is, right? Oregon says to the Oregon State kicker, "You're with me, Leather," and away you go. So how many "you're with me, Leather" circumstances do we have? So that's 2. Ole Miss got the Western Kentucky kicker who was the Conference USA Special Teams Player of the Year. So that's Ole Miss's kicker. They went and did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're with me, Leather. We also, if people find that offensive, I'm not here to offend people. We can call it "you're with me, kicker." Is that better?
There you go. Sure.
You're with me, kicker. Oklahoma got the UTSA kicker, and he was the SEC Special Teams Player of the Year. You're with me, kicker. And then Miami got a guy from Florida Atlantic who was their kickoff specialist and didn't really do field goals, but he was kind of their long-range field goal guy. And they brought him in to compete, and he won the job. So he wasn't completely established as a field goal kicker at FAU, but he was good at something, good enough that Miami went and got him with a purpose. You're with me, kicker. So we have 5 "you're with me" kickers of the playoff. Let's do that right now, because this conversation, as we talk about special teams groups, are what is Ohio State now? What do we rate them for this year? But also, what do we expect them to be? I think Ohio State should be a "you're with me" kicker program for the rest of eternity. And it's like, who's their kicker going to be next year? And I think my answer, until further notice, is I don't know who's the best kicker at a small school that Ohio State can go steal.
I'm just looking up who the first team all MAC kicker was.
Is that wrong thinking?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you can whatever, go to the Coles kicking camps and try to find one out of high school, I guess. I would just take one out of the portal.
And not like he was 6 of 11 at USC in a year and a half. Like, go get a guy. It's like, who are like, right? Mark, put it on your list.
I hope this guy has eligibility. Hold on.
What's his name?
He's a junior. He's the first team all MAC kicker is a junior at Bowling Green, who's from Tip City, Ohio, whose name is Jackson Cleather.
No, it's not. You're with me, Cleather.
Yeah.
Sometimes the podcasting gods smile on you. You're with me, Cleather. My God, I can't wait to put that headline on our Substack page. Oh my God.
He is 86% this year, 19 of 22, 3 of 5 from 50 plus, and 5 of 6 between 40 and 49, and hasn't missed from in.
What was he in the 20s? Perfect in the 20s?
Between 20 and 40, 11 of 11.
No, You're with me, Cleather is here to stay. Okay. Congratulations to future Buckeye Jackson Cleather. We invite you on the pod. Open invitation. So, but is that in it? Like, is that, why should we not think of it that way? And more importantly, why should Ohio State not think of it that way?
There's no reason. I mean, I guess it's what I don't know what a kicker costs, right? So, like, if you're doing the math, you only have so much in your budget, maybe. But I think you earmark. I mean, what could it be? Honestly, earmark $200,000 for a kicker every year.
Mm-hmm. Some of that sweet Ethan Onyanwa money. Peel some of that off and give it to a kicker.
You're paying $1 million for a backup right guard. You can pay for a kicker.
Also, no offense, no loyalty to kickers.
No.
I think once Jaden Fielding missed 2 makeable field goals against Michigan last year, Ohio State's attitude should have been he's not our kicker anymore for next year, because it's big boy school and it's a pro sport in many ways now. And this is not, it doesn't mean you take the guy can still go to school. He can be on the team if he wants, but he's not the starting kicker. Like, it's over.
But they did bring somebody in, I think, with that idea. And then, like, the way that Ryan Day explained it was that Jaden Fielding beat him out in camp.
Yeah. I would go
Jackson Kerrville from Ball State, who made 84% of his kicks last year, who's currently on the team and and was 2 of 2 from 50 plus last year.
All right. So they should then get to that. I don't know. I mean, so like, if they're already doing that, then do it. Then don't have the guy who missed 2 kicks against it. Because honestly, it's like, nobody cares what you are against Purdue. Hey, he made a 38-yard field goal against Purdue. Nobody cares.
No, he was bad 2 years ago. Like to your point of kickers being volatile. In 2023, Kerrville made 71% of his kicks, and in 2024, he made 84% of his kicks. Yeah.
So anyway, so that's where we are. So maybe they're already doing it, but like, that wasn't the guy who was on the field against Indiana. So I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm. No, he hasn't. I don't think he's been on the field at all this year.
So then what? Then okay. So I will say, so 16 of 19 on the year for Ohio State on field goals, 19 field goals. It's like 19 field goal attempts, like 63rd in the nation. It's right in the middle of the pack. Texas Tech leads the country with 33 attempted field goals. The fewest, Notre Dame 9, NC State 8, Louisiana Monroe 7. And Notre Dame, for instance, tried 3 kickers this year, and it was a mess. And so part of the issue also is like, once it doesn't work, what do you do? Notre Dame was 5 of 6 on field goals in its first 6 games. And then they only tried 3 field goals the last 6 games, and they missed them all. And they also missed a couple extra points, like when they started to get nervous. And I was watching a news conference from Marcus Freeman, and I think clearly someone had said, what's the issue with the field goal kicking? And he said, the issue was every time we kicked the ball, it did not go in between the field goal posts. So that's the issue. It's like, okay. So they tried 3 different guys. And then the issue is, as he said, if you rotate 3 kickers, you don't have one. He said, our team deserves for us to make extra points and field goals, which I just think is, everybody knows that, but it is a reminder that a head coach said that. You can say like, oh, what about the kicker? It's like, yeah, what about the other 104 guys who were putting it on the line? And now it comes down to a 27-yard field goal that you can't make. Notre Dame, when the kicker was more okay, they went for it on 4th down 14 times in the first 6 games of the year. They were 5 of 14. The last 6 games when the kicking stuff started to unravel, they were 12 of 17 on 4th down. For instance, against USC, they were up like by 3. They had a 4th and 4 from the 13-yard line and missed a 31-yard field goal against USC. And then later in that game, where it was still a 1-score game, they were at the USC 28-yard line and had a 4th and 15, and they turned down a 45-yard field goal and went for it on 4th and 15. So if we're trying to figure out what you and I have talked to, they did not. So what we're talking about here of like, what does this look like, right? Then it's like the next week they tried 1 field goal against Boston College. It was the last play of the half, like from the 17-yard line. And you can either throw the ball in the end zone from the 17-yard line and hope you get like a tip, or you can try a field goal. And they tried the field goal and they missed it. They missed a 35-yard field goal. So like, I didn't watch every Notre Dame game, but they, I think, by the stats, had so many field goal problems that basically in that second half of the year, they stopped trying field goals. And I think that might be where Ohio State is.
That's where I would be if I were them.
Okay. All right. So field goal kicker bad. Punter, I don't know. They got a guy in the portal and
they can't flip the field. They can't flip the field.
They can't.
Joe McGuire's not from the portal. Joe McGuire's they got him from Pro Kick Australia.
Who's the Buffalo guy from the portal? That was last year.
Anthony Veneri. Yeah, he never punted here. It's Joe McGuire and Nick McClarty, who they both signed out of Pro Kick Australia.
Joe McGuire is from Pro Kick Australia?
Mm-hmm.
God, I have been saying Joe McGuire in my head with a Buffalo intonation the entire year. Joe McGuire. I didn't know it was Joe McGuire. Okay. If they can't develop Nick McClarty, that's also a failure. It's like, what do you have? It's like, we got 4. It's like, can he punt? Nope.
Sometimes. Yeah.
It goes 70 yards every time. Sometimes straight, sometimes sideways. But like, you got to develop that guy.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's I don't. Yeah, either that or stop going to Pro Kick Australia. I guess I don't know. Like McGuire just doesn't have a strong leg. He can't flip the field when they're trying to pin a team deep. He's serviceable, I think. Like when they're punting from like the 50 or in or whatever, and they're just trying to pin a team down, he's okay at that. But if you're trying to punt from your own whatever 21 and really flip the field, he's not the guy to do it. And McClarty should be, but they never put him out there to try. So we don't know if he can do it in a game.
All right. Go develop that punter. So fine at best, right? Fine at best at punter.
Yeah, fine is probably. Right.
By the way, Bill and Doug show. Man, it's great to have you here. If you're watching on YouTube, go give us a like. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. We're going to be dropping these positional breakdowns for the next 10 days. Tell a friend about the Bill and Doug show. If you want to drop a review on Apple Podcasts, or if you want to drop a comment, we'd love to hear it. We appreciate your feedback so much. And also go see our friends at roback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use the code BAD20, BAD20 to get 20% off your first order. I don't know how shipping works, but just have them ship it to my house, and I'll come to your house and come down the chimney and make sure it's there by Christmas. I don't know what to tell you. Rowback.com. Go get a cool quarter zip polo for the holidays. Kick coverage. Can I give you the primary guys on Ohio State kick coverage this year and see what you think of the group?
Sure.
First-year players. Fahim Delane, TJ Alford, Riley Pettijohn. What do you think of that?
Sounds great.
Just running down there and covering kicks. Second-year players. Garrett Stover, Leroy Roker, Aaron Scott, Bryce West, and Peyton Pierce. What do you think of those second-year fellas?
Great. They're
good group.
It's a good unit, yeah.
They always like to have a veteran out there. Last year it was Denzel Burke. This year it's Jermaine Matthews, right? And I think there's that usually like last line of defense guy who maybe doesn't run down quite as fast and just make sure everything is like where it should be. Is that right? I think that's maybe what he does.
Yeah. And I think CJ Hicks was doing it for a while too, and then he decided
limited. Yeah, only like 11 kick coverage snaps according to PFF, and then Joey Velasquez as the veteran, sort of like as that veteran guy. Usually like to have one guy like that in there, so that's good. Good. Like, what do you think generally of like the rest of special teams?
I think their coverage team, like the teams, don't really return kicks and punts all that much anymore. But
yeah,
when teams have tried, I think Ohio State's been pretty good at it. The teams actually do try to return kickoffs a little more frequently against Ohio State. I'm assuming because they figure they're not going to move it with offense. They might as well try to spring a kick return. But there's not really been any that have been super threatening. They've actually had quite a few nice tackles sort of like down inside the 15-yard line made by some of these young guys. So I think the kick coverage team is good. I think the punt coverage team, I think, has been pretty good. I would say, like, there was a time where like we really talked a lot about Ohio State's gunners on punt coverage, like Terry McLaurin back in the day. Devin Smith, probably not quite as good as that. But I think part of that is the punter too. Like how adept are you at getting that thing to like actually sit there rather than bounce into the end zone? But I would say like good enough coverage wise.
Yeah. Okay. Just as a heads up, like the guys who led them in kick coverage snaps a year ago, number one, Jalen McClain. So like the thing of like, oh, you play on special teams or whatever. Jalen McClain was a true freshman last year, running down like a maniac, and now he's a starting safety. So like keep your eye on Fahim Delane next year. Okay. That's kind of where we are. And the return game is like fine. I think the return, right? Like they tried the little trick and Brandon Ennis has been a little better, but people like to talk about the return game, but usually the conversation is not that worth it.
Again, it's just not a huge part of the game anymore. They got the kickoff return for a touchdown earlier this year. That was cool.
That was great.
I'm sort of the mind, like as long as they're catching it, then like I'm okay, because it's just not really part of the game anymore.
Yeah, you want to see them throw it sideways on a return again?
No, thank you. No, thanks.
Good with it?
Nope.
No sideways throws. All right. So let's do future real quick before we give our grades for this unit this year. I think they're always going to have good guys to throw out there in coverage units. They're always going to have options in the return game, and they're almost always going to go with a reliable guy whose hands they believe in over a super explosive guy. And I think you can hope and pray if you want to that's going to change, and I just wouldn't hold your breath on that. Even though every year, like people get excited about that, I think the possibilities are interesting. I think the results are pretty standard and typical, and you know what to expect there. It is the KJ Hill version of a punt return guy, and that's okay. And I just think I would just every year have zero loyalty to the existing punter or kicker. It doesn't matter if the guy has eligibility or not. I would work the portal like a maniac, and if you think you can improve in the portal, I would spend to get a guy.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. So Jaden Fielding is out of eligibility after this year. Okay. So they kind of need a new kicker unless they think Jackson Kerrville can do it. Joe McGuire does have eligibility, but I think they could upgrade there if they wanted to.
Okay. We asked, let's save our subscribers because we asked rate all the position groups from 1 to 100. What's your rating for Ohio State special teams?
63.
Oh my. Oh my! Now you're making me rethink. No, I'm going to rethink mine slightly. How are you thinking about this? Is it more in your head that like 63 is a D, or is it more in your head that like if you're okay, that's like a 50? Like if you're in the middle of special teams, that's a 50. If you're good, you're above 50. If you're bad, you're below 50.
I would only go below 50 if I thought like special teams was like a net negative. And I don't think that. I think it's mostly average to like slightly above average in some areas. So that's why I picked 63.
Interesting. I would argue that I think it is a net negative because if you are in a situation to kick a field goal that you really need, nobody believes in it. And I believe that's a net negative on the team. And the rest of it might be average. I don't know that any other part of it is above average, but I believe the state of the field goal kicking when it really matters is a net negative right now.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been bad for the year.
He just, when it didn't matter, right?
Sure, but he has had one high leverage kick this year and he missed it. But he's also missed them in the past. So I'm not saying like actually he's good. I don't. It's just hard for like. I don't know that I'm downgrading the entire special teams operation because their kicker is not reliable. I guess I wouldn't fight with anybody who could do that, but like. I don't know. I was looking at like special teams efficiency on FEI. They're 37th. It's not like they're 108th. So,
right.
SP plus they're 63rd. They're a little more middle of the pack in that way. So like, I don't know that there's any part of their special teams that is a net positive. I just think most of it's neutral aside from field goal kicking.
Okay. I think we probably agree with that. It's like, then how did you assign a grade to that? I'm going to go 45. And I'm going to tell you that our hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people voting, the average was 40 for our subscribers on Substack. And if you want to be able to vote in some of this stuff and have conversations about position groups and anything else, read our stories, get 2 extra podcasts a week, and you join us on our Substack at BillAndDougOSU.substack.com. So 63 for you, 45 for me, 40 for the subscribers. That's an average of 49.
Yeah. I mean, that probably feels right.
Yeah. Just a tick under half. Yeah. Just right under the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's how we'll do this for the position group breakdowns. We'll line up the rest of them and we'll talk, like more specifically about individual players when we're talking about linebackers and tight ends and defensive line and cornerbacks. We'll dive into like, hey, what do you think of Davis and Igbenogson? And what do you think of Carson Hinsman? Right. So special teams is a little bit weird, but again, we just wanted to be able to have a headline to start this off that says like, what is wrong with Ohio State special teams? And, just see if the algorithm loves that or not. So
we had loved it last time we did it. So
yeah, that's true. Did it really? Did it go crazy last time? Yeah.
I think it did. Okay. Yeah.
We got our pulse on the finger. I don't know what to tell you. Finger on the pulse on the finger. We'll do the podcast last 11 position groups. Ohio State podcasts. What do you think of that? 12. He's Bill Landis. I'm Doug Lesmerises. And that was the Bill and Doug Show.